YouTube, what's going on? We're back with more of the First Descendant. Got Viessa out with our Absolute-Zero build. Go over it in full detail. It's all time stamped in there. Obviously you guys can flip to whatever sections hopefully may help you. Again, this is for the Void Abyss Lava Citadel solo run and the Void Abyss challenge again for my solo build that I'm currently using. So always gains to be made. Continue to develop it as we move along. Always, you guys are appreciating these videos. You guys are liking the content. Please feel free to turn on those notifications, sub to the channel, drop a like. Alright, this is my Viessa build for taking down the Lava Citadel Void Abyss. I will also go over the challenge of Void Abyss with the Lava Citadel as well. Again, these are solo with Viessa. I'll just go over a few mechanics about the build just in general. And then proceed with the the walkthrough of what I've got going on so far with it. So up front, your fellow, you want to run with the MP fellow. So again, that's the Snowy Sled Dog. We run him because he automatically recovers MP every 45 seconds, which is very, very nice with Viessa because she's a skill spammer. And when it comes to Viessa, her strongest Transendant module is Absolute-Zero. Not just because of the build and everybody's using it, just inherently has a skill power damage increase that the other Transendant modules just don't carry. So for instance, the frost shards, you can see the skill power is 1176.5. With any other Transendant module, 944.3 on the skill power. Old Snap, 944. But Absolute-Zero, 1176. This is the case with all the skill power for each one of skills. Again, if you're not aware, Absolute-Zero, as you can see within here, we've got tech, a couple, and I believe the rest are all fusion. What Absolute-Zero does is it uniforms all the skills to singular. So it makes that very easy to take advantage of additional buffs when applying singular, as well as obviously we can get the ball through the chill as well. The other thing that the Absolute-Zero does is, again, it changes our frost road so it doesn't inflict the ice sheet, it inflicts frostbite, and those frostbite deals high amounts of critical hit damage. And when we're able to do it, and because we have high crit rate, we're able to proc the Absolute-Zero or the frost roads. I'm sorry, it doesn't inflict ice shackle and frostbite when applying it. My apologies. So that's just something you should know about Absolute-Zero, kind of what it does, and the just inherent skill that it gives you. Another thing before we get into the build is to be on power. I like to run it because of its ability to inflict tow. Which ties in nicely with our external component that we run. So just remember that I like Power Beyond. She can run with other ones. I use Power Beyond because of the the tow that I can get when when running with a 4-piece set of the external component that I'm currently running. Just double back on that as well when we get into the Descendant module. So that being said, with Viessa, again, skill spammer, she's a crit Descendant as well. One of my first Descendants, or my first Descendant that I chose. So I'm glad that Viessa's got some good stuff going on, especially right now in the season. So obviously we're going to run this with the Frozen Singularity Reactor. I've got the chill skill power boost ratio on there with the Colossus. Again, you can swap that in for cooldown if you wanted to, but I feel with what I've got enough cooldown. If you want some power, trying to get the arc clear times up, we'll just slowly progress. My build is not fully done. I have other options. I'll go over them briefly, but I still got gains to be made. But this is a nice, cushy, fun build that will be able to help you clear the Lava Citadel Void Abyss while it's around easily. 2 minutes and on, with no problems, no sweat. That's what I run with my reactor. Again, the external components that I'm using are the Slayer set, and again, I just showed the trigger module, Power Beyond with the code. This is where we are able to take advantage of it within the external component. We recover some NP and specialized resources by 17% at a very low chance rate, but at least there's some synergies there that we take advantage of, within the build. When it comes to the coring of the external components, max HP and defense, that's what I run with all three. When it comes to the the roles, fire resistance, MP recovery modifiers, anything to do with MP recovery, gains, fire resistance, shields, all good stuff. That's kind of what you're shooting for when it comes to to your roles or the native patch. With the arcade tuning. So this is my boss setup. Again, we're respecting to the critical hit damage, critical hit rates. Got our skill cost reductions, a little bit of range because we have sacrificed a little bit of range to get that Ancestor module on there. We'll go over, making sure respecting its bosses. I like the skill power. The raw skill power. You could go into the mutant cell slot and gain yourself something there. Obviously, I haven't tried that route yet, but again, that could be a little bit of a gain there. But I feel like I'm netting out some good damage here, but I'm not too sure if the going up here and getting myself a mutant cell unlock will net me some more damage. I do have it here, like frostbite vulnerability. That at 9.5%, that might power creep the skill power node. Just as an option. I like running this currently. I might swap it off just as options when it comes to the arcade tuning path. If you're wondering, there's a path there. I'll leave it up for a quick sec. Inversion reinforcement. So this is what I run for my boss build. I like this. I like the cooldown. I feel like I get more gains than the cost. Obviously you got to watch your MP, but it seems like the mobs do drop enough of those mana nodes to keep it afloat. But this allows you to really spam your blizzard and chunk the boss down. I run that with the recovery node, selective neurostimulation. Again, every 45 seconds, we're have probable chances to gain max MP and recover MP, which is fantastic, coupled with our fellow. And I run this with the a little bit of attribute resistance for survivability. When I fully get my sword kitted, I'm probably going to give it a try to run it with the superheated plasma for the hypernova, because as you can see, the incoming damage modifier is increased by 7.8% for 10 seconds when you chuck your sword, and kind of pull them in there. So using this special ability will might be able to net me some good damage from the sword while we're laying down our blizzard. So as we're developing the build, but again, sub 2 minute clear times with the current build that I'm showing you guys here. Maybe some mechanics for it. Alright, so now to get into the crux of the build, I went over the trigger module that I like to run. Again, this is a straight base 15% skill power increase. Durations, patterns are all there. That's what I like to run my trigger module with. And again, it has that synergy with the toe, with the 4-piece layer set. What we gave up in this build was the amplification control. So we had skill expansion, amplification control for main. We gave that up to bring in the Hunter's Resolution. So I have a couple of Hunter's Resolution. As you can see here, and you can roll them. I have another video out that goes over the Ancestor modules, rollings, all that stuff. So I had to have a couple as I'm keeping them just to see what I could get from them. Obviously, the higher the rank, the better power you'll be able to get. But as I'm rolling through them, I'm going to keep the ones I need. Obviously, I'll dismantle the ones I don't. But right now, at least we got a lot of options as we're trying to roll. The absolute god roll for it. So what I'm looking for is critical damage, critical hit rate, maybe some survivability or chill power, you know what I mean? But damage, crit rate, chill skill power, singular, any type of thing that'll help boost what I've taken away. If that even rolled with range to get me back to range, that would be great. But crit damage, crit rate would be the god roll. I do have another one that I like to use as well. This one is really nice because it bumps my survivability through the roof. I do get the chill skill in purple, but my defense and my shield shoot through the roof with this one. So I do swap this out when I'm running the solo challenge. We do have a couple of other ones. Yeah, we got a 29 one I can't even utilize with. And we're slowly just trying to roll slowly the ones that we've got to see if we can get something better than what we already have. But I gave up range. This is what I applied to it. I like to run it with this Hunter's Resolution Ancestor module for sheer damage. I do swap out for this one when it comes to shield again. This one would be nice to have with, you know, instead of the max shield, you know, a crit hit damage or a crit hit rate in purple would be sweet. But that's what we're trying to go for. Crit hit damage. I'm just one away from this. I can't take advantage of the tech in this build, but this particular Ancestor module is utilized within both builds. The tech within there, so it is a nice sort of a nice roll, which was purple or gold. But that's the Ancestor modules. We'll continue to build on them. Again, I have a couple of them that we're rolling through. So again, it'll be changing depending on what I can get to build or what I can utilize them for. Again, this is a great survivability one. This one's a full-blown power one. That's what we have applied for this build here. Sacrifice the range to get it on there. And we run this with the Dangerous Ambush and run this with Hyper Focus for additional critical hit damage. I just find that I'm getting better clear times with the Dangerous Ambush. But the times are very close. If you thought one was better than the other, I would probably disagree with you. Because it seems like they're pretty even sometimes. Like I said, it feels like I'm just getting better clear times with Ambush. They're kind of right there to each other. When it comes to the rest of the modules, I mean, the standard, you just want your, you know, see your grappling hook in there, take advantage of the module capacity. Just went over Absolute-Zero. This, you know, uniforms all your skills to singular, applies in, you know, a passive, you know, increased skill power, changes your you know, frost roads from ice sheets to inflict frostbite on critical hits, which is crazy because again we've got a high critical hit rate, so that's just dealing insane amounts of damage to the enemy. Yeah, then we go into our, you know, our cooldowns and our normal modules. We just want our nimble fingers, MP conversions. We've got both the front lines and the emergency measures, and this is our critical damage, critical hit rate combo. Same this one, reverse on the percentages. We went over the range. We've got the chill skill power in there again to help with all of them, and a little bit of cooldown. And you know, again, the straight critical hit rate and critical. Yeah, got the 4 crit mod applied to Viessa. When it comes to the weapon, I'm currently running this with Clairvoyance. As you can see on the cores, I run this with 3 sprint speeds, a chill attack, and a fire rate. You could swap out one of the sprint speeds for grappling. I like to run around really fast. I have this coupled with firearm attack, firearm critical hit rate, chill, and firearm critical hit damage. I really like this. Using this weapon, I've been using it a lot with Viessa just because of its unique ability. So it's a unique ability with Viessa that matters, you know, matters most. The unique ability of it. So getting the beam up to stage 2 is key. Obviously, having a pod to stage 3 is just as good as well. 2 and 3, keeping that up as long as we can while we have like our blizzard or while we're dropping, you know, chill attacks. A 2-second duration when it's up onto that at a 40% chill resistance reduction. So this is the weapon that I'm using because I pretty much have it done. I just got to apply another critical hit module to it. but these effects when it comes to the chill resistance are similar to the Frost Watcher. I'm not going to go over it, but I'll probably display them side by side just to show that the chill resistance here is more than the Frost Watcher, but the Frost Watcher does have some increased skill damage, but you got to be at a certain range. Mine's not ready yet. I'm still kind of working on it. It just doesn't seem to be doing what I needed to do as opposed to the Clairvoyance now. It's the same thing with the Hypernova. When you're able to take advantage of the Hypernova, you can utilize that superheated. I believe I went over this, and take advantage of some increased damage modifier to help maybe with some clear times. I do think the Frost Watcher, because of the skill power damage that it does have, again, when you're hitting, you got to hit crit points and weak points to get it to pop up. And again, it's not at a 100% rate on the power increase, but obviously that in itself makes it probably a little bit more of a damage output when you can get it going than the Clairvoyance. I'm running this with the Clairvoyance. I'm not going to go into into detail with that, but again, those are other options when it comes to your weapon and why you run it, because they are similar when it comes to the unique ability of being able to reduce the chill resistance of the target. And obviously we're dropping some major chill onto these enemies. Their defense is just absolutely shredded, and we're able to net more damage off of it. So absolutely fantastic. Love the Clairvoyance with that unique ability with Viessa. I'm just missing that better concentration for some additional critical hit damage. The other reason why I do like running the beam rifle with the ability to reduce defense. So we just went over the ability, if you're able to hit the stage 2 beam, it reduces the chill resistance by 40%. If I can keep the beam on the enemy too with the super cold plasma, I'm able to again increase my chill damage from it, but I'm reducing the target's defense as well as I'm laying on the beam. So as I'm laying on the beam, reducing his defense on my charge 2, the longer I'm on the trigger, I'm reducing the defense of the enemy. So I'm getting a double reduction in enemy defense, the chill, and just overall defense by just laying onto the beam, trying to keep that stage 2 beam up. So some really nice synergies with the Clairvoyance, and at least the damage or the defense reduction running it with the super cold plasma. Now again, we want to keep the beam up to stage 2, so we have fire rate with the sharp precision shot. We have these, the super conductivity charge to increase the charging speed. We've got our fire rate up. Obviously, we've got our 2 attacks. We've got our 2 chills, and again, I would have my better concentration here as soon as it levels up. That's what we'll be doing to finish off my chill build, Clairvoyant. So this is what I use in the showcase, and again, all of this coupled together is an enemy of steady 2-minute, sub 2-minute clear times on the Lava Citadel. We'll continue to power creep it. Still lots more games to have. Again, I hope this build helps you, or at least I hope the the explanation of how the build work kind of helps. I know Viessa has been around for a while. But the First Descendant game's been out for a minute, but sometimes you get the mechanics kind of get lost when you're just trying to look at what all these guys are doing up at the top of the leaderboard. So yeah, that's my Lava Citadel build. Enjoy. When it comes to Viessa and the Void Abyss challenge, there is no update to the build. What you saw me running in the Void Abyss Lava Citadel is the exact same build I'll take out and run against the Void Abyss challenge. Continue to do gains. Come across something crazy or an updated time or something that puts me up there on the higher end of the boards, I'll definitely be sharing it all with you and go through it all in detail. There you go. Beat our new high score too. Games.